I was hoping that was vodka, but no, it's just water.
Vodka indeed would be great, or tequila, or whiskey, or bourbon, or anything to wash down the pain and misery of today's defeat in Manhattan. Welcome into a live edition of the KC Sports Authority podcast. I have a half smile on my face, but I am hiding behind this because this is completely fake. I don't even know what words to say anymore about this team, the 2024-2025 Kansas Jayhawks. But we're going to try to. We're going to get into it. We're going to try and break down our reactions of the game, talk about what happened, just get into it. So if you're joining us live, obviously you got the comment section there. Would love to get anybody's thoughts. Throw anything and every take you have in the comment section. We'll put as many of them up as we can. Hopefully, as we go throughout this, we'll get lots. Chris, what's up? Chris is always here. Always appreciate you.
Chris?
I know you're going to have thoughts. So, yeah, feel free to throw them on. Any of you guys that join us. We'll have our own thoughts, too. What an ugly loss, 81-73 in Manhattan. Wish we could say this was a shock, but I'm pretty sure all of Jayhawk Nation saw this loss coming a mile away.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know where to begin.
We can't win 2 games in a week.
No. Nope.
What's the deal? Like
18 losses in the last 2 seasons.
And
I don't even think that's ever happened in Kansas basketball history. I haven't researched that, but I don't think that's ever happened before.
Well, my frustration kind of comes in with look, I know Iowa State was a little bit depleted, to use a word, depleted. They've been facing some injuries, but to still beat Iowa State back on Monday, I mean, first of all, did it give me hope? No, it really didn't. But I was just like, okay, well, at least if we can somehow manage to win this game against K-State, then we would actually have a week where we don't have to worry about falling in the rankings. But I am not used to this. I'm going to be honest. And one of my friends called me out for being a fair weather fan. I deep down in my heart, I really feel like I'm not a fair weather fan. Obviously, I love KU. I will always love KU. I rep KU. I can curse KU all I want, but darn it, at the end of the day, I went to KU, best 4 years of my life, and I love Kansas. This is not the stuff I love. This is not what I know to be Kansas basketball. And we can talk about a few things in this recording about just some of the reasons why it's a little bit different now versus back in the day. Man, I miss guys like Devontae Graham, Frank Mason. Man, I miss guys like Wayne Selden and Perry Ellis and Jamari Traylor and all these. Man, I miss those days.
You mean guys that played with energy and ferociousness and toughness?
Guys,
we don't have that on this team.
People who want to play for Kansas across the chest,
guys, I was this close to not wearing Kansas on this podcast because I what's there to support right now? But I should have joined you guys, and apparently you guys are dressed for a funeral, and this might just be
a funeral
of Kansas basketball. I mean, it could be. I mean, this season's been over for half of the last couple of weeks anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, do we just call it what it is? Is a spade a spade?
I really don't want to, but yeah.
But this game, I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts. The last, we already said a lot of this. There's nothing new that's going to be said tonight that nobody hasn't said in the last couple of weeks on our podcast, on other KU podcasts. Everyone's feeling the same thing of what on earth is going on? What's the answer? What's the solution? Why is it happening? I have no freaking clue. It's been the combination of coaching, players, talent, luck for other teams. I mean, Doug McDaniel decides to finally show up in this game.
Of course.
And again, I said this to you guys before we hopped on here. If you didn't watch the game and you knew KU lost, you could probably say why KU lost without looking at the box score or anything. But if you just looked at the box score, not that bad of a game. KU shoots 50% from the floor, 31.5% from 3. Out rebounds K-State by 6. Pretty much neck even the rest of the way in the statistics there. Hunter Dickinson has 21 and 9. Zeke goes for 15, goes 3 for 3 from the 3-point line, only gets up 8 shots, 5 of 8. Dewan had 6 assists, no turnovers. Flory, 6 points, 4 rebounds. AJ Storr, 9 points on 4 of 10 shooting. Not great. But statistically, you just look at the box score, not that bad of a game. But I tell you what, the eye test watching this game, it's the culmination of everything we said. The bad fit of rosters, guys not meshing on the court, Hunter Dickinson giving up loose balls, giving up wide open layups. It's completely different watching this team play and looking at the box score. Like this again, you look at the score and you go, how did Kansas lose this game? They were break even in just about every category, even got more free throw attempts. K-State hit a couple more threes. They also shot a lot more threes too. And had some more points off turnovers and definitely dominated in the fast break transition. But you watch this game, you go, everything KU's bad at shows up. The defensive miscues, breakdowns, no fight. I mean, this team has zero fight in them. There's 2 guys on this team that are on the active playing roster that I do truly think bleed crimson and blue. And despite the struggles they've had, and despite all the times the fans have called them out for these struggles, talking about DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams, to me, those are the only 2 guys, in my opinion, that actually play worth a dang. And I'll throw Shaq Moore in there too. I do think Shaq does that. But my gosh, I mean, this is not your father's game for the Jayhawks. This is, maybe you blame it on the NIL. Maybe it's post-Bill Self, post-health scare. Something's up there. Something is going on with this. There's some bad juju on this basketball program right now. And ever since the national championship, I mean, the roster's gotten worse by the year, even though theoretically coming into the season, this should have been one of Bill Self's most talented rosters individually speaking. But my gosh, there's just no words anymore for the debacle that is Kansas basketball. And I said this to your friend last week. Hey, maybe KU had to go through a 3-year span of misery in order for the Chiefs to go for a three-peat.
Maybe. That's the only thing that's keeping
if the
me
Chiefs win the Super Bowl tomorrow, then I'm okay.
Oh my God. Dude, that's the only thing keeping my spirits up. It's to me.
Which quick shout out, by the way, if you haven't gone and checked out, I had an episode with CJ and Chris last night, 2 nights ago. Can the Chiefs three-peat? Go check out a Super Bowl preview. The back half of that, CJ and I throw out a couple of great game day bets for the Super Bowl. So go check that out. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's perfect. That's what I don't know. I mean, could the students possibly have that on their minds? I don't know. I feel like the students less energy. Bill Self called them out, and it's like, I mean, I've got to feel like the 2 are related, but also not. I mean, I don't think the Chiefs have anything based. They don't have any pull on the Kansas crowd when we're there to watch a Kansas basketball game and we're just losing games. It's like, dude, we're losing games. That's why we don't have as much energy. And honestly, why are we losing these games? I don't really know. Keegan, you talked about not wearing, the Kansas letters across their chest truly. And it's like, man, I thought at times during this game, I think we just looked scared. And it's weird. It's really weird to feel like you look scared, especially when you're playing against K-State, right? I mean, even one of the last plays, we were still down like 9 points or whatever. Got a turnover. Shaq Moore had a wide open 3, and he, granted, sure, if you want to say he was trying to make the right play and pass to Zeke Mayo, who's a better shooter. I get that. I can't defend it this time. It's just stuff like that, man. It's just playing scared. Take the shot when you have it and it's open. Take the shot, because by then, there was less than a minute left. Like if we were going to make it a miraculous comeback, we needed that shot to go in with ease and right there and then steal the inbound and then hope for a miracle. I don't know.
But you knew this was coming. I mean, we sat here a week ago saying, "Hey, K-State's on the horizon," and I don't know if we said it on air, but every single one of us was like, "Yep,
Yeah,
losing
they've been
it.
on the come
I
up.
mean, we've known that for weeks that we were going to go lose this game, and I do not want to get into K-State Twitter world here because K-State Twitter is freaking insane. But hey, props to K-State. They are on an absolute roll right now. They just won their Super Bowl. It's given them all their momentum for the season, and they fully deserve this win. I know they also think they should have won the game a couple weeks ago, and by golly, we almost let them come back and win it. So props to K-State. You guys are having a great week, great last couple weeks. You deserve anything you want to say about this basketball program right now for this season. That's it. You don't get to go to seasons past or anything like that, but just this season, honestly, you guys look like a better team right now, considering the fact that we were making fun of K-State all season for the disastrous season Jerome Tang was having and joking, was Tang on the hot seat. Hey, they've won, 5 straight now and are rising up the ranks of the Big 12, and KU is going down, but it's terrible. I want to throw a couple post-game comments your guys' way. This is reading off of Henry Greenstein, Lawrence Journal World, off of his tweets. Self asked about Harris's foul trouble. I think it crushed us, and they were bad plays. How do you put yourself in that position being a 6th-year senior? That was tough. Playing without Juan is not good for us. Kind of funny that in the same sentence, I'm not saying he's necessarily attacking DeJuan, but calling DeJuan out for making a bad play, but also saying, hey, at the same time, we have to have him on the court to be good. Could agree with that. We didn't do anything to make them play out of rhythm at all. It was a very dull defensive game. Completely agree with that. It's been very difficult for us, for whatever reason, to string games of superb energy back to back or even consistently at all. There are times against elite teams we can lock anybody down. Cooper Flagg, KJ Adams shutting him down. That was like an eternity ago. And then there's times that we can't guard our own shadow. Hunter Dickinson comment post-game. I think this time they were the aggressor and they were just too comfortable, especially in the first half. We're just down on ourselves, I think. I think we expected a better outcome, obviously. I don't think we deserved it. I don't think we played well enough to win the game from the start. Yeah. If you watch the way you yourself, Hunter, play with no emotion, with no energy, with no toughness. I mean, we haven't heard the typical Bill Self calling this team soft. But my gosh, this team is the softest team I think I've seen in the last 15 years. And we've had some rosters that aren't so great. And all that being said, KU fans were still spoiled. We've had really good seasons compared to most programs year in, year out. But something about this team is just completely off. There's no dog in this fight. There's no toughness. There's no guy you look at and go get a bucket. The closest thing we have to that is Zeke. And when Zeke's on the road, even though he had a fine game shooting-wise, only took 8 shots, still had 4 turnovers. There's nobody on this team you can turn to when the going gets tough and say, hey, go get going. They don't have that guy. And it's showing up in the box scores. It's showing up on the tape. I mean, this is just a culmination of the season as a whole. It's a culmination of the roster. This is a poorly constructed roster as a whole. Again, I've said it plenty of times, great pieces individually. Rylan Griffin, fantastic individual piece. For whatever reason, it's not working here. AJ Storr, we could all agree coming into this offseason, AJ Storr was going to be a highly coveted transfer who can score. Doesn't work in this system now. Today, he did get his shots up and was terribly inefficient, but it hasn't worked. Hunter, I mean, we all knew the excitement it was going to be getting Hunter Dickinson last year as the most prized NIL transfer probably of all time up to that point, and he's been great. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's still a walking double-double, All-American caliber talent. But again, you watch him play, and you can see that as good as he is offensively, one of the most skilled big men we've had, there's so many holes to his game that actually impact us in a negative manner. And it's just all this coming together. I don't even know what words there are. To me, there's no fix. I'm not saying throwing the towel on the season just yet, but I'm starting to wonder, is even Bill Self wondering, hey, how great would it be to just flip this page and just move on to Darren Peterson next year, who scores 58 points in a near triple-double tonight? So that's what we had to look forward to for next year. Can't wait, because he should be, theoretically, the best recruit KU's had in all time, potentially.
Wiggins?
Better than Wiggins. Different player. But he will be, according to the way things are going now, He will possibly finish as a higher graded recruit than
All
Andrew
right.
Wiggins, even though Andrew Wiggins was number 1 in his class or number 2, depending on who you ask.
Slight deviation. Is he going to be better than Ben McLemore was, even though Ben was a redshirt freshman? If you take the one season we had Ben McLemore, is he going to be better or worse?
Impact wise, I'd say the same. The question I have, again, not to get super sidetracked here, but this question I have is who plays alongside Darren? Is he the primary ball handler or is he the primary scoring threat?
Score.
Because with Ben being the primary 2 guard, the offense was designed around Ben McLemore's ability to score. I think that's what we have to do with Darren Peterson. You put a point guard alongside him, whether that's El Marco, whether it's a transfer, I don't really care. Somebody that can help facilitate the offense. And then you focal point your offense around hoping Flory's back, around Flory and Darren Peterson next year with a lights out knockdown shooting wing that can, whether that's Rylan Griffin coming back and he outperforms this year, or they go get somebody like a Kobe Bray that they should have given the bag to because he's shooting nearly 50% from 3. But anyway, that's my thought on that. I'm about done with this season. I mean, we already know Big 12 out of the question. None of us have any confidence they're getting out of the first weekend NCAA tournament anyway. To me, the next question is, should this team be unranked come Monday morning?
They
won't be. They're still 10th in KenPom even after losing tonight, and they'll probably fall to 23 or something. But this team's rivaling that 2020, 2021 team with Marcus Garrett that just got destroyed by USC for how bad they look on the court. Like,
oh God,
it's rough right now. This is hard times. Which is still funny saying that out loud because we've had it so good. We've had nearly 30 years, well, 20 plus years of Bill Self, just straight dominance, that even our bad seasons are better than majority of the rest of the Power 5 schools. And even, yes, this year, a 6, 7, 8, 10 loss season for us looks terrible. It still stacks up relatively well against the rest of the country, but that's not what expectations are here. Expectations here are a 1 or a 2 seed, Final Four or bust year in and year out. And this squad, the last 3 seasons really, I think Jalen's year would have gone further had Bill Self not had the health issues. Again, can't control that. Don't want to dive into that too much other than I do think it is impacting his ability to coach. Bill Self has lost his tenacity edge, I think, on the sideline, his ferociousness. I think he's calling games differently. I think he's even calling his players and challenging his players differently. And maybe that is health related. I don't know. If it is, perfectly understandable. Health is most important. But it's definitely changed the way he's coaching. And I know JB's got a hot take on that. I don't know if you want to say that out loud on the podcast or not.
Not yet.
Okay, we'll save
it for a little bit later. But
do you have another hot take you want to get off?
Oh God,
put you on the spot.
I'm ready. Oh, I hear it.
I don't,
because then I know Austin's ready to, and I don't have this put on here. Austin's ready to take the little kid gloves off and unleash. So you get your hot take off, and then Austin's taking the floor.
Oh gosh, I guess we're doing this now. Look, all right. I hate this. I hate having to even say this. Because I think we've been leading up to this, and it's just something that I don't want anybody that's listening to this to think you're just being the typical emotional JB. I've been thinking about this, and it's been brewing for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I'm just watching us lose and lose and lose, and I'm just like, I am saying it now. Bill Self, you're done. Bill Self, I'm sorry. I want you gone. I love you, Bill Self. I'm not gonna pretend I know more than Bill Self about coaching basketball. You're done. Because I can't. I think, Keegan, you alluded to it earlier. He's just softer. He's not coaching with the same tenacity. Right. And to me, it's just a different game now. 10 years ago, college basketball looked a heck of a lot different. And now, what do we have? We have a team that's full of transfers that have no gel. We're full of a team that just has people wanting to party or whatever, and then just, I'm doing this basketball thing. No, back in the day, we used to have guys that rocked for KU, and we had Bill Self that used to just work guys out every single time. Oh my God, I just feel like he's not the same. I'm sorry. I don't. I wish I could say it more eloquently than that, but Bill Self is done. It's done. I want him gone. I'm like, if I had to put a percentage on it, 49% he can stay, 51% you got to go. And I don't, you know what? And Derek, I see you. I'm not crazy.
I was waiting for Derek to put something.
I'm not crazy, Derek.
What's up, Derek?
I'm not because. All right, let me say this though. There's nobody. The problem is there's nobody that can replace him right now. There's nobody there. I would not. Bill Self is still better than anybody that's actively coaching that might say, like, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring. Like, he's probably still better. But I don't know. Like, maybe there needs to be somebody within our program already that needs to take over. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I just feel like it's been brewing for weeks. I can't take it anymore. I think Bill Self doesn't know how to coach a team that has zero chemistry. You can't blame the guy. He doesn't have – we don't have chemistry. He doesn't know how to create chemistry. I don't know. Maybe it takes somebody else. I don't know. But
Noah being the voice of reason here, telling you to cool down. But yeah, rough day, Noah. That's rough on both ends for you.
Sorry, Noah.
Well, tell me about this. So this has been racking my brain. What's up with John Shire? Okay, how does Duke have a guy like Coach K, the legend that he is, leave, and then Duke has zero? Yeah,
oh, John,
I don't care.
I know this guy. I know him. I love him. What's up, John?
Yeah, that's probably the hottest take JB's unleashed on.
I'm just trying to say
any of our podcasts.
Well, you know what? I'm saying what everyone else is saying. I'm saying what all my friends are saying in the group text. I'm saying what everyone on Twitter is saying, or at least half of KU Twitter. It's because everyone wants Bill Self gone. It's because it's true. Everyone wants Bill Self gone. I want Bill Self gone. We want it.
I think we're just all frustrated that this Bill Self we're watching is not the Bill Self we all know.
We need a win. And going back to the Duke thing, how the heck does John Shire come off the freaking coaching bench and outdo Coach K? I don't care if we beat Duke earlier this year. John Shire is kicking Bill Self's butt. I would rather have John Shire coaching this team. I want John. Give him a call. Get him to Kansas. Get Bill Self out of here. Get John Shire back on the Kansas side of things. He never was on. But I'm just trying to say, get John Shire over here. Because I'm done. I'm done. You know what? I'm done with KU. Keep Self away. We're changing the vibe.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh man.
I'm done.
That was a hot take indeed there by JB. We're gonna give him a second there to cool off and come back to it.
Oh my god.
Derek, again, always I this is where I am too. We just gotta vet the portal better. The transfer portal, the NIL era, I think to me is really screwed up a lot of stuff. In addition to the NCAA infraction case, really screwed up high school recruiting. But we got to find guys that are going to fit our program. We can't just go get big names. Hunter Dickinson, big name, great, mostly fits for the most part, just not athletic enough. AJ Storr, big name, great talent, doesn't fit our system. Needs to find his guys, which are defense first. Couldn't agree more. That's why I really love the Shaq Moore addition. But he only played 14 minutes today. I think Mike Vernon tweeted this out earlier. It was the number one lineup KU threw out against K-State a few weeks ago had Shaq Moore, Flory, Hunter, DeJuan, and Zeke. They played 14 minutes, I think, something like that last game, and we went like plus 22 or whatever. That lineup played 0 minutes together tonight.
So stupid.
The most effective lineup against K-State a few weeks ago plays 0 minutes tonight. JB is pulling the week or so.
I love this guy so much, man.
Thank you, John.
So,
Austin, I'm gonna kick it to you now, man. You're ready to take those gloves off, the little kitty gloves. we're all adults here now. We're not playing it safe anymore. What do you got?
I mean, I'll start off with this. I know a lot of people are upset with Coach Self and what's gone on in the past, year and a half, almost 2 seasons. And I know a lot of people are going to, speculate on, his health scare and whether or not that affected him, all that. I'm not going to do that because I really wouldn't want anybody else to talk about my health like that. And so I'm just going to keep that to myself. But I just don't understand. Like, I don't know how you can, just move on from, a Hall of Fame head coach like that. And really, I'm not going to question a Hall of Fame coach either. I mean, as much as, we want to say, oh, we should move on and this and that, like Bill Self is Bill Self at the end of the day. And he's going to forever be one of the greatest college basketball coaches to ever coach, this level of basketball. But I'd like to get into the game though, because and you guys kind of talked about it a little bit, like everybody knew that this was coming. And I said it on Monday before the game. I said, I know exactly what's going to happen and it's not going to shock me one bit. And what I thought in the back of my mind was we were going to have a really good game against Iowa State. Everybody's going to be like, oh, we're back. Oh, my God, that KJ alley-oop from David Coit. Oh, my God, that saved the season. Oh, we're back, baby. Oh, no. I didn't buy that for 1 second. I didn't buy that at all. Like, yeah, we have great plays that happen every now and then in some games, but that didn't mean that saved our season. I knew we were going to lose today. And I'm a little surprised, though, that Brenton Hostin didn't have like 15 3-pointers on us. He should have had that number today.
He shot 10.
Coleman Hawkins should have had a triple-double today just to tick us all off. I mean, I knew that K-State was going to play their best game of the season. Sold-out crowd. They had Michael Beasley in town and all those things. Like, you just knew that this was going to happen. And
you could smell it in the air.
Like, I don't know what you guys' takes are on the jerseys that we're going to wear on Tuesday. But it's pretty humiliating to lose to K-State and then come back home, play Colorado, and wear those jerseys.
You're talking about which ones are you talking about?
What was it?
The Black History Month?
Black History Month jerseys.
Oh.
Yeah. Look, listen, I think it's great, like what they're doing with that. I think it's awesome, but like the jersey design is just terrible. It's probably the worst KU basketball jersey I've laid my eyes on, to be honest with you. It looks like a practice jersey. I'm not going to lie. You can disagree with me if you want, but I think any rational.
I got to go look at these again because I thought they were pretty good.
I see what you mean. I saw that and I instantly knew. I was like, oh, half of KU Twitter is going to hate this because it looks like a practice jersey. But I like it. I like it, but it's – I don't know. I mean, it doesn't excite me, We've got nothing to go for us now. I mean, the season's over.
Yeah. But earlier I came across a message board, screenshot or whatever, and somebody, his name's Hawk Fanatic on the Fog 24/7 Sports, forum. He said, "Go get Oates. We'll be feeling our oats again with Nate. Big upgrade over our current self." I mean, listen, as much as we're upset with, Bill Self and everything, I can't sit here and go, yeah, we need to move on from him right here, right now, because I can't question a Hall of Fame coach. I can't. As much as I want to agree with JB, I can't.
But what? But that's.
I think
his Hall of Fame from the past, from his everything he's done leading up to that, and now basketball's different. Now
I think that's what it is. It's not that you question Bill Self as a coach, because yes, I can't do that either. What I can question is the game he wants to play what's best for this new style of college basketball, the NIL, buy a player, free agency. Like, we know Bill Self is one of the, if not the best in-game adjustment coaches. especially out of a timeout.
Not
But
this season.
this year, yeah, I mean that's this year. If you grade his season this year, this is the worst coaching season he's probably had in his entire tenure of being a head coach anywhere. So I think like how much of that is the game has changed to a point to where his play style, while still can be effective, can only be effective with the right type of team around it. Because like this group just does not identify as a Bill Self type team. And so the things like, again, I hate even saying this out loud, but Bill Self has been out coached this year more than any time in the last 20 years that I can think of combined. Like we make fun of Scott Drew all the time that Bill Self, like Bill Self's just a 10 times better coach because Scott Drew outcoached him last week and found a way to come down from 20 points down and exploit a weakness on KU's team that Bill Self did not adjust for.
That was the most disgraceful performance I have ever seen a KU basketball team play on the road, blowing the biggest lead in KU basketball history. I've never seen anything like it. I really didn't. And I really haven't had the chance to talk to you guys about that game, but that really ticked me off. I don't get it. I really don't. You leave KJ out there, you don't put Flory in. Like, that's why we lost that game. And
you're still talking about Baylor game, right? The Baylor game?
Yeah.
It's got to do something to the bench when when he wants to check in Hunter, and then the whole crowd is chanting, "We want Flory, we want Flory." All the players are seeing what we're saying online, and you got to think it's making its way around the locker room, and I just feel like this team. Whatever happened to the players only meetings? Have we had one? Like what? They seem to be effective.
It doesn't feel like that kind of team. We don't have that type of vote. I mean, everyone behind the scenes says DeJuan's this leader, and I agree. But DeJuan's not a very outwardly vocal, at least to the public's perspective. So who knows what happens behind closed doors in practice? But this team doesn't have the typical vocal leader who's getting energy up on the sideline. Some guys have said it's Diggy. But here's two things I want to tell you guys. First off, KJ. I do feel bad for KJ in the media attention because KJ's not a bad player. He just has limitations, and his limitations are expanded in this current system because his limitations are amplified with the way we play. So I mean, KJ's a great guy. Flory's a great guy. Flory's going to get playing time. KJ's going to get his playing time too. It's just in this system, KJ just does not fit alongside Hunter Dickinson. If KJ was the small ball 5 or playing alongside an athletic big, I think it looks different. So I want to get that off there. Second thing, I have heard it on good authority from those close to people on the team that a certain incoming transfer this year who at the time of signing was promised a lot to have the run of the offense, and for the most part, I think we have seen that, is pretty pissed behind closed doors and pretty outwardly vocal about the disappointment with not just necessarily the way they've been coached, but the way minutes and rotations have shaken out with certain players.
Are we allowed to say who this is?
I mean, I think you're talking about. I think you can take a guess. One that none of us as a fan base, we would find him very dear to us as a fan base because he grew up here. But I have heard that Zeke has been outwardly vocal with the frustrations. And I think we saw him, there was somebody the other day post something on Instagram and Zeke liked it about Flory needing more time. But I want to throw out there. Also wanted, I know I texted him because he was in the chat. So I'm going to bring Derek in here too with us. Derek, what's up, man?
T-Rex.
So JB's crazy, right?
He's crazy. You're crazy, JB.
Yo, I'm not.
Which we're not surprised
I'm not
about.
crazy.
We
I'm
know
just
that.
saying whatever. Everyone's got this.
I'm
on
not
their
surprised.
mind.
No, I'm not
Everyone
surprised.
out
I'm not.
there.
But after 2 quote unquote bad years, including this one, you're already gonna hang up, throw in the towel.
Yes, Derek. Yes, Derek. Because what happened in the last 2 years? The heart issue, bro.
Right, but again, it's has he lost intensity? Of course he has, but the problem that I have, and and we've talked about this. He's just become too predictable, and
Yes, this team
like
is easy to prepare
you can
against.
you can literally call out the plays. Like he did the post seal again, and it worked, and it's great. But there's just not enough motion. Where's the weave gone? There's no cutting. Like you know he's gonna play inside out. And this is where we miss a guy like LeBaron Philon. Like he would be amazing on this team.
Yes.
Um,
What a mess that is, losing him.
right, and I just think
he could be all freshman first team this year, all American, like all freshman, national freshman first team.
I'm scared that Flory's going to transfer after this season.
No, do not say that.
Don't you dare.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it, but I'm scared, dude. We are in a world where
there's no way
anybody can go anywhere for any bag of money.
Like keys to the 5 spot next year. He's got no competition next year.
Right,
Tiller's not starting over.
Well, I would be more afraid that he goes to the NBA.
And you got like the I know he the offense is stagnant and whatnot, but if Rick Pitino can play the way he's been playing and go to UConn and beat them and make 4 threes the entire game, okay? If he can impose his play style in the Big East, Bill Self should be able to impose his play style, and he has done that for 20 plus years. Now he just needs to keep adjusting. He needs to keep adjusting to, everyone. And, for some reason, he just cannot beat Scott Drew and his assistants on their home floor, right?
Scott Drew
against Jerome Tang and freaking Manhattan.
Yeah, and Grant McCaslin, right? He lost to Texas Tech last year. He's lost to Jerome Tang 3 times, and 5 years. And he hasn't won in Waco since 2020. For some reason, they just have his number. And I think it's just a matter of again, they've literally scouted the guy for years, right? So
not man happiness, John.
They're in man happiness tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Crazy faith.
Well, right. So I just think, like you guys have said, it's a combination of all of it. I think it's mainly coaching, but it's a combination of the players just not buying in. It's a combination of the players not executing what's being needed. And it just and it's just being inconsistent. I think
and honestly, too, if you look at this game, Rylan and Storr shot horribly. So like what Rylan was 1 of 6 from 3, Storr was 4 for 10. So
right,
they each make 2 more shots. We might be having a completely different conversation. But to me, still, that doesn't change the situation that KU struggles on the road. Teams are finding ways to exploit all of KU's weaknesses, and KU has nothing to do to counteract it unless they're in Allen Fieldhouse and shots are falling. So how's the rest of this? I mean, the rest of the season is going like this. We're going to talk ourselves into the next week that KU basketball has a relatively favorable schedule. They might win a couple games. Heck, they might even win the next. Maybe they beat Colorado at home and they go on the road to Utah, and then they 3 days later they take on BYU and they beat BYU up in Provo. Maybe they surprise us. It still doesn't change the fact that we have no confidence this team's going to do anything.
Right now.
I don't think so either.
Happen. They're going to get blown out in that game. I don't know how, but I just know that BYU is going to shoot 23s and win by 20.
And if that's the case, we'll see it coming because that's how KU loses games this year. It is predictable. This is the most predictable team. It's like the.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Did we predict that KJ Adams would be the first person in double figures this game? I mean,
so Derek, that's what I was saying. If you look at the statistics, the box score, this was not a bad game box score wise. Your 3 stars scored in double figures, and I'm throwing KJ's there as far as your 3 main offensive threats scored in double digits. Zeke shot the ball pretty well, didn't shoot enough, but shot the ball well. Hunter, for the most part, looked decent offensively, but all the other things we talk about were the spacing still struggled in the second half. Hunter's inability to be an athletic defensive big showed up. Zeke's inability to control the ball on the road showed up. And DeJuan getting into foul trouble, taking away the primary ball control off the court. All the things that KU, we've said all season, they struggled with, still popped up enough in this game to lose, despite the fact that offensively you take away 4 or 5 shots from Ryland and Store. Not a bad game offensively. But yes, to the point is it doesn't look good though. We said it at the beginning of the episode. You look at the box score and then you watch the game. And I think they tell two completely different stories. We say it all the time. Hunter could go for 20 points and 12 rebounds. You go, oh my gosh, Hunter was a stud tonight. But then I can sit here and count 4 or 5 times a game that Hunter's inability or ineffectiveness as an unathletic big severely hurts us. And K-State exploited the pick and roll game a lot. They did those interesting sideline screens to get Hunter out of position to where he can't recover in time. And if you don't switch quick enough, then they're going to eat you up. And K-State, I thought, did a pretty good job attacking the paint. I was going to pull back up in the box score what that was, but they found a way to exploit KU, and that's what every team's done this year. And there's been no adjustment for it.
The ironic thing is they exploited KU by doing screen rescreen, which is what Bill Self does for the middle ball screen, the screen rescreen. And then they'll run Coleman Hawkins off a curl or whatever, and then they have the backside guy cut for a lob. Like they did that like 6 times in the second half, and like
here's the disappointing thing: K-State's going to host Arizona on Monday. Arizona's going to go in there and win by double digits. They're just gonna.
We'll see how they do against Texas Tech right now. Because they can't really look past tonight. But I mean, it's just frustratingly disappointing.
And honestly, my heart is broken for this whole team, this whole year, because I call me a fair weather fan, call me a sore loser, whatever. You know what? Fine. You're right. It sucks. This team sucks, and it sucks to lose. And, it's already got me looking at like, man, I can't wait till next year. I sound like such a loser. I can't wait till next year.
You're not a loser, JB.
You're passionate,
overreacting. You're just overreacting just a bit with your hot take, and it's fine.
Think about next year. We won't have Hunter, and we won't have DeJuan, and we won't have KJ. We're gonna have Flory at the center, dominating all game, playing 30 minutes a game, and like it's gonna be insane. We're gonna have Darren Peterson being Ben McLemore 2.0. Like, I just want it. I just want it now, but we have to suffer through the rest of the season. I think I'm gonna end up putting KU as a round 1 loss on my March Madness bracket, and I think I'm just gonna, write off this season. And it makes me sound like a sore loser. But look, I'm just trying to be realistic here. I know I could be an emotional guy or whatever. I play the role as the emotional guy. Some of it's satire, some of it's not. Look, bottom line is I know I'm putting KU to lose their first game in March Madness. I know that I'm writing off the rest of the season. I know that there's not a single game left on this entire season that is going to make me think KU is back. I just want it to be over. So, and I will say one final thought is I feel like I have to apologize to our listeners and to our to our fans, our subscribers, because I feel like we haven't put out as much KU basketball related content lately, and I think that's partly because it's like, man,
we're just going to say the same thing.
I want to talk about this team.
I mean, it's the same thing with football this year too.
We're going to mope about the basketball team every single episode.
I don't want to rant all this time.
I also want to be realistic though, JB. Next year, as exciting as it sounds, unless Flory Badunga finds post-up moves, it might be the same issue.
True. Yeah, he's going to have to develop his offense.
Exactly, because if you don't do that, if he doesn't develop that, the high-low is moot.
So you know what you do?
Because
here's
change
what we
the
do.
assistant coaching staff.
If I'm Bill Self, I'm making one phone call and one phone call only regarding Flory. Pick up the phone. And I'm saying, hey, Udoka Azubuike, can you come down and teach Flory everything you know? Because Udoka was the best center we've ever had. 4-year center we've ever had, at least in the Bill Self years. And I'm
Yes.
like, I love the guy. I miss him so much, and he would be the greatest addition to this team if he had more eligibility. I need him to teach everything he knows to Flory, so Flory can flourish next year.
Well, he's got the lob game down, so I'm not sure if Udoka will add anything. They
Oh,
really
well,
need
there's so
Udoka
much.
had insane footwork, though.
Yeah,
He had a
right,
really good
but they
footwork and
need
a
to-
little spin.
Bill Self needs to call Danny Manning and have and literally work with Flory the entire offseason.
So, I mean, if we're
just
being
on low
honest,
post moves.
not a hot take, but has KU's big man development been even halfway decent since Danny left years ago? I mean, you've got a few guys that developed some, but I mean, the peak of that development was the
It's
Morris twins and Thomas
non-existent.
Robinson. And that's
It's
been
it's
over 10 years ago.
non-existent.
You had
It's
guys like, I think
non-existent.
Landon Lucas had a dramatic shift from freshman year to senior year. Udoka did, but that's 4 years of development. And I have nothing against Norm Roberts as a coach, individual, like as a person, but Norm Roberts is 5'9", 5'8" on a good day. Like he didn't play the 5 man, he didn't play the 4 spot. I've always wondered this, a guy that is in town and has been here since he graduated college, ever since he retired from the NBA, Wayne Simeon. He's around the program all the time, and I'm sure he shows up to practice and does a lot of things. But I've always been curious as a fan, how come Wayne Simeon isn't an assistant coach on this team? Because Big Dub had some nasty post moves and footwork and shots, and he was a very polished offensive big man. Then I think a guy like Thomas Robinson. Robinson's going to be retiring from playing overseas this year, next year, if I had a guess. Maybe a guy like him. Like to me, again, not to go on a long tangent, but this coaching staff has not had change at its core in a long time. And I have, again, nothing against these guys individually, but right now KU has a collection of 9 assistant coaches that I couldn't tell you who does what their primary purpose is. Now that NIL's the thing, you don't need KT. You don't need KT to go out and drop the bag for somebody, because we're already doing that legally now. So I don't know what he brings. Again, Norm Roberts, I think, is a pretty solid X's and O's coach, and I think he scouts well. But to me, it just seems like we need to change the scenery. I like Jeremy Case. I think he does scout really well. I was kind of interested in the Chase Buford coming back, but to me, it just seems like there's so many, cooks in the kitchen. Doc Sadler, why he hasn't retired as an analyst, consultant on this team, I don't know. To me, it just seems like there's too much going on in the coaching circle. You need to kind of start fresh. I was listening to the Could Be Wrong podcast earlier, and somebody put in the comment there, like, this team hasn't been the same since Jarence Howard left and went to join Chris Beard. And of course he's changed teams a couple times now, but yeah, we haven't had guys that we go in and recruit that come in with energy and excitement and firepower, that are proud to wear Kansas on their chest and go out there and do it. Like I keep thinking the last 2 weeks in my mind, and I don't want to butcher it, so I'm going to try it my best. But for anybody that listens to 96.5 The Fan, or formerly 610, years ago, Bob Fesco had a rant where he was like, play like you care. And that's just all I've thought about the last 2 weeks. Like, play like you care. Most of the guys don't seem to play like they care that they play for Kansas. This is something that I think just the nature of the NIL era has changed. Guys don't have the same loyalty they used to have because they change teams every year. AJ Storrs changed teams 7 straight seasons. Guys just don't have the same buy-in. So a guy like DeJuan, a guy like KJ is going to be rare to find moving forward, which is why I still very much appreciate them. But play like you freaking care. We are on the verge of one of the most disappointing seasons in the last 25 years, and there's been a couple others like this. Last year's season was disappointing. The ends to the season 2 years ago, the 2021 team, very disappointing. We've had seasons that we've lost 7 to 10 games before, but when you look at this team talent-wise, they were supposed to be an incredibly talented team, and for a team that's supposed to be super experienced in collegiate years, they look like a group of underclass of 3-star freshmen that just seem overwhelmed every time they get on the court because they cannot put it together as a team. The chemistry on this is bad. And I know Austin mentioned it earlier, and it was here in the comments by John. Yeah, DeJuan is very valuable to this team. That doesn't mean DeJuan doesn't have limitations to his play style, but you can clearly tell when DeJuan's not on the court, things rapidly fall apart because we don't have a guy. But even when DeJuan's on the court, we still have offensive limitations. So to me, the answer is flush the season, turn the page. Let's get excited for next year and go find a combo guard to put along Darren Peterson that can attack and score and play defense and shoot, do all the above.
I think also Bill Self also says like just play, like don't think, just play. But he contradicts that. But contradicts that by pulling them when they make a mistake, right? So like you can't do both things, right? You can't tell someone to just relax and go play, and then like tear their heart out. If they make a silly, like did Diggy even play after he had that turnover in the first half? Like
I think he did because he went back out. He had not an injury, but he came down awkwardly and talked to him on the sideline. But I'm pretty sure he was out there in the second half.
Yeah,
he played 5 minutes total.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think Diggy's necessarily the answer. He's an undersized guard, but Diggy plays with heart. He does that.
Right. So it's, and also I think it's a confidence thing. Like if Griffin's first couple shots go down, we should be in for a good night. But that wasn't the case.
Well, and if DeJuan doesn't get in first half foul trouble, maybe the game looks different too.
Right, and so
because that was the low.
It's just brutal.
I think DeJuan's played since his freshman season.
Yeah, it's just brutal to watch, and like every time, KU even had a sniff at some momentum, right? K-State just goes down the court, Doug McDaniel penetrate, dish, basket, like so it's I don't know. This next 4-game stretch, right? At home against Colorado, and then at Utah, at BYU, and then is it Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State at home, and then at Colorado.
Yeah, and then at Colorado. I don't want to say on paper we should go 5-0, but there's no shit anymore this season, right? Yeah. Who knows? It's who knows at this point. It's who knows.
Well, I think the point is, who cares? Like, what does it matter?
I don't.
Again, the one side of me says it doesn't matter what happens in the regular season because it's always about March. But the way this team looks now, I don't have any confidence they get that much better come March to give you any hope they can go deep.
And then, well, that's a good point.
The KU preseason #1 curse continues on. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So you look like you were sitting.
That's why we're struggling right now because there's clearly a curse going on. Let me say this because when I found out that KU was going to be the preseason #1 team, I was like, I had a thought in the back of my mind. I was like, oh dear God, please not again. I sincerely hope it doesn't happen again. Here we are.
Everybody, what's that meme of, look at us. Who would have thought?
No, but seriously, stop ranking KU as the preseason #1 team.
We're gonna end up.
I don't ever want to see them ranked #1 in the preseason ever again.
Well, if Darren
one,
Peterson
they don't deserve it. Two, KU plays like.
If Darren Peterson keeps dropping 58 on AJ Debinsa,
can we call him up and have him suit up for us next week? Can he play against Colorado? I'm sure. I bet he would play better than most of the guys that we have on the team right now.
He would.
Last year, I had the same thought about Flory. Like, hey, can you imagine if Flory was playing right now? Like, I was thinking about that last year, and now I'm thinking the same thing with Darren. Man. Can we? Hey, I know he's redshirting, but why don't we just pull his red shirt and let Bryson Tiller play? I wish. I know it's not the smartest idea, but dude, excited for next season. I don't want to go through that again.
And then the brutal. The brutal that after this 5-game stretch, our last 3 games are just absolutely brutal, right? Yeah. Was it Tech at home, at Houston, and then home again, and senior night against Arizona. Oh boy, I know JB likes his streaks, so.
Dude, it's like senior night, you've got the big Monday streak, it's like, I'm surprised that the big Monday thing was kept up. We're going to lose all of his streaks. And if at that point we are out of streaks, that's really when it's time for Bill Self to just hang it up. But I digress.
Well, if some positive, here's something positive that I can point out too about today and all this. Even though K-State won today, KU still holds the record for the most amount of wins over an opponent in NCAA. I don't know.
I love that tweet you sent out this morning.
Yeah, I mean, win or lose. I had the meme of freaking Drewski just running away because I was certain that the K-State fans were gonna blow up my comments and be like, "Oh yeah, God, dude."
I haven't been on that much Twitter tonight post game, so I've been a little scared to see what K-State's fan, but
I can't stay.
I'm sure they're having fun.
Look at us. Hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
Yep.
I mean, Bill's, but that's the thing. I mean, that's the expectations for Kansas basketball. Bill Self doesn't get paid $10 million to split with K-State. I saw that on Twitter. That just can't happen. That just can't happen.
You can't go 1-3 in football and basketball against your rivals, K-State and Mizzou. And as an athletic program,
at least last year's team beat Mizzou. I mean, I know it was at home, but
silver lining,
again, the Hunter Dickinson era. When was the last time KU won a top 25 road game with Hunter Dickinson on the roster? I mean, I might just be crazy in the moment, but I don't think that's happened in the last 2 years since Hunter Dickinson. I don't think KU's won a true road game against a top 25, maybe top 40 opponent. I don't know where the UCF and maybe Cincinnati this year, I guess. But outside of that, Hunter Dickinson. Oh, did you guys see this other stat? I can't remember the exact number. Now I have to double check. But Hunter Dickinson's 1-5 against Coleman Hawkins in his career, or something like that.
Oh no!
Something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, and freaking Coleman was, flexing it in his press conference.
As he should.
Yeah, I know.
Heck, in the 2 games we played this year, Coleman Hawkins has almost had a triple-double twice. He was on par. I know he didn't finish quite there today, but he was on par to have a triple-double twice. Oh, shoot, he almost had a quadruple-double.
I almost called it. I said to myself, I'm telling you, every time we play at K-State, they turn into the 1990s Chicago Bulls. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'm still sitting here wondering how KU pulled that one out 3 years ago where Ochai gets the layup at the buzzer or before the buzzer.
Sounds wild.
I have a great idea. Why don't we get Ochai, Jay Will, and I think CB even tweeted this out. I think he deleted it. I don't know. It might have been CB, but somebody said, yeah, I should call up Jay Will and Ochai and see what they have to say. I'd love to hear what they think about the state of the team right now.
Well, I mean, CB did post out there backing up DeJuan, but then he also said, play the guys who care, play the guys who care that Kansas is on the front.
Yeah.
Well, who are those guys? I don't know.
Yeah, and then he brought up how DeJuan not being out there hurts the offense, and John said it too. CB's 100% right, but
yeah, it clearly does. I think it's still, even when DeJuan's playing, this is just not a well constructed roster.
I miss Ochai. I miss CB. I miss our national championship team, man. Here's the thing. Okay, number one. We KU won the national championship in the first year of the NIL era, and I think some people have forgotten about that. But
mostly running it back, other than Remy Martin,
the most important reason why that team went on to win the Natty is because all those players on that team they were playing together for 3 or 4 years. They built up that chemistry and they knew what they were doing and they had a good feel for each other. And the past 2 seasons, it just hasn't been that way. You really can't.
I think we've transferred out 15 players in the last 2 seasons, give or take.
Yeah,
between
7
all the
players.
shuffling around?
Yeah.
There were 7 players from that 20 to 21 team that stayed in for 2020, like 21, 22, like when we won. And then obviously Remy was literally the difference, right? Because you have that.
And Bill Self finally broke down and just agreed that despite Remy's defensive negatives, we're going to play Remy ball because he can go out and get it. I don't think that's happening with this group because as much as I'd love to see AJ be the guy to go get 20 a night, it just doesn't seem like it's going to fit. But to me, it's got to be Zeke. Like I love that we facilitate things through Hunter, but I don't know why we don't get 12 looks a night for Zeke coming off of a ball screen, coming off the dribble and creating some sort of look because Zeke's the best shooter on this team. And we don't do enough to generate looks for him other than him dribbling around trying to get an open shot. It's like that's also something that's frustrating me this year. I get Hunter's the guy we're going to go to and he's getting paid $1 million a year to be that guy. But Zeke might be the best scoring threat on this team, especially when it comes to March. You're not winning in March with Hunter going 20 points a night. But if Zeke goes off for 20 to 25 a night and is hitting 3 to 4 threes a night, you stand a good shot in March. So that's another thing I've wanted to just see why we're not facilitating more intentional look.
I want to get your guys' thoughts on this.
Too.
I need to get you guys' thoughts on this. This is from Jay Hedrick on Twitter. While we hear a lot about how the gap between KU and K-State has closed in football, nobody talks about how much the gap is closed in basketball. Oh, my God. Y'all agree
How
with
about
that?
you try winning a national championship and then you can talk, K-State? Shut the up.
Hey, they did get
and then I see tweets from K-State fans. Oh, it must suck being a KU guy right now. It's little bro. Dude.
I mean,
okay,
but how did they close the gap? How did they close the gap when it's only 3-3?
Yeah, we're hanging that over your head. And we have won 28 games at Bramlage, and you've only won 8 now. It was 28-7 going into the game. You've only won 8 games at Bramlage, which honestly kind of shocks me, not going to lie, because I thought K-State has won more games than that against KU at Bramlage. I'm just being honest, but, like, bro, get out of here, bro. I've had enough of Twitter, bro.
Like how is the gap closed though? That's the thing. Like
there's no gap.
I mean,
There's still a big gap. I mentioned the record at Bramlage. I mentioned the all-time record that KU is holding up. It's the biggest, most amount of wins over a single opponent in NCAA history. I think the other matchup that's right behind KU and K-State, I believe, is Washington and Oregon State. I could be wrong, and I think Washington has won like 190 something games against them. So I mean, they're not too far behind, but I'm just saying for any K-State fan to say that we're a little bro is absolutely asinine. I don't.
What year was it? Hold on. What year was it when KU and K-State shared the Big 12 title? It was like 2012,
2013.
2013?
Wait.
Whichever.
No, that was Mizzou, I
Shoot at us, John.
Whichever year that was. Yeah. I mean, they were way better.
Was that 2017 with Barry Brown?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, they have been so close in that year, and there was never talk about a closed gap between the two programs. And now you want to talk about the gap closing?
Lay off the alcohol.
But yeah.
Well, what's your
whatever? Maniac.
Yeah, John, what's your question? Throw it
What's
in
the
here.
question, John?
As you're drunkenly typing it up.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna try and end this with a little bit of positivity because I have one last thought to kind of.
I mean, silver lining. Auburn lost today. Duke lost today. Missouri lost today.
Well, see, what you're saying is going to lead me into my topic point of I think it's recency bias is what carries so much influence over people. Because 4 weeks ago, K-State looked like a laughing stock. They kicked the chore off the team. They looked like they were the biggest wastes of money investing in Coleman Hawkins. KU was playing relatively decent, even in the games they were struggling in. And now the script has flipped. But all of college basketball, to your point, outside of Auburn, and even though they lost tonight, Duke has had their moments. Iowa State looked like one of the most unbeatable teams in the country, and now they look very beatable despite having a blowout win tonight. College basketball, the parity in college basketball is just very different this year, to where maybe the overall, because I think it's the transfer portal and guys sticking around, the quality of teams has improved to where you don't just have not cupcake rosters to play against, but schedules are tough everywhere. So a team could go and have 10 losses, and they could have 7 of those against good teams, and we don't know who the best team in the country is. UConn has had times this year where they still look like they could three-peat, and they've had games where you're like, oh my gosh, they look terrible. Houston has looked really, really good at times, and they've had a few down games. So I think college basketball as a whole is just very different this year. And the fact that KU is experiencing the woes that everybody else is makes me feel a little bit better that we're not the only ones. But yeah, John's question. Here we go. What will happen if KU beats K-State this fall? Like in football, chances are that the fans will tear down the goalposts.
Of course. Are you kidding me? Of course we are.
We haven't. When was the last time we beat them?
I won't be there. I will risk.
That's true. That right there is the most
I don't
disappointing part. The fact that K-State fans don't even have to storm the court at home anymore for a win.
Yeah, that sucks.
Pretty sad.
That's depressing. 3 straight years.
Well, no, I mean, Tang obviously.
Yeah, he's very
Tang
against
obviously
it.
He instilled it in them that they should expect to win, and that's fine. That's what coaches should say to their desperate fans that are wanting success.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, he's building a great culture over there, if we're being honest.
Right.
He's still a weirdo, but he's building a great culture.
But
he's good for content. He's fun.
He's building a culture of 500 basketball and, no second weekend, like consistent success, right? I mean, so
they traded in Bruce Weber for Jerome Tang.
Right. If they want to build a culture of, hey, great, you go 3-3 against your in-state rival, and you go from making an Elite Eight, congratulations, to being terrible the next year. I mean, come on, go right ahead. But to be fair, has he had KU's number at home? Great. Okay, now if you really want to grow a pair, come down Fieldhouse and win. So
at least we haven't dropped one at home to them yet.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to say something nice. About Bill Self before we wrap it up.
Please, JB.
I would rather have Bill Self as our coach than Jerome Tang, a guy that doesn't like to wear his shoes on the airplane. I will still take Bill Self over him.
I'd take Bill Self over anybody in the country if we're going to play that game still.
I will say that. So
yeah, at least our coach doesn't go do weird things on it. Now, I think the weirdest thing though, and we haven't had a chance to talk about this because we didn't do an episode. The fact that Bill Self brought up in the post game at Baylor and blamed the lack of success in the second half on the oranges that Baylor served them at halftime was probably one of the wildest post-game Bill Self comments I have seen or heard outside of this.
I was hoping that was vodka, but no, it's just water.
We're gonna wrap up there. Come full circle. The way we started this live meltdown of KU basketball. My golly, I don't know what they were drinking post-game in the locker room, but I'm sure Bill Self. I don't know. Maybe health related doesn't allow him to do this now, but I'm sure Bill Self was hoping water bottle tonight was also vodka. There was a story that said coming out of K-State side that Bill Self was not late to the post-game press conference, but the team did not leave the locker room for quite a while before going to the post-game media sessions. Like they were in there a while. So I'll be very curious. I haven't gone back and watched the full post-game press conference yet, but I'm curious to see, did he light a fire? Well, what happened in there? What's going to happen moving forward? Other podcasts have talked about
I hope he
these guys putting in extra time.
Well,
he's probably going to make everybody sprint tomorrow, or maybe even today. They probably did it today. Like, all right, when we get back to Lawrence, I'm going to run you guys. I'm going to run you all until y'all throw up.
Well, it's very clear that Bill Self is the leader, but who's the leader among the players, right? So, Like when we won the title, like it was very, very clear who the leaders were, right?
Would
Next
this
year,
sound weird to you guys? Like, I know DeJuan's the senior, super senior leader, and despite the fact that as a fan base we criticize the crap out of him, but to me, is it odd to say that I want that to be KJ? Like KJ needs to be the emotional leader of this team because of he's the only one that truly brings the tenacity most every game. He brings the energy. Like, should it be KJ that's the team's emotional leader and is the one like, because KJ's never in press conferences. He never says much. Like it's always DeJuan, it's always Hunter or Zeke. Last week he was Rylan. And on Hunter, I mean, Hunter's the most uninspiring player I think I've ever seen in a KU basketball uniform. He talks like he's a really smart, sophisticated individual, and I think he is, but his analysis of the game is very like dismissive of the problems. And so to me, I'm like, I think it's KJ. I think KJ needs to be the emotional guy that gets out there and becomes more vocal down the stretch. I think the fan base would actually buy into that because they would say, wow, despite your struggles, you truly care, and now you're showing it not just on the court, but we're seeing it and hearing in your voice, and you're pushing this team. Because if there's anybody on this team that has the energy to do it, I think it's KJ.
Yeah,
that's my
people are also.
You saw the emotion that he had after that alley-oop, and I thought that was pretty powerful.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we're not just talking the KJ throws down, he does his fist swing that's going to deck somebody one of these days. It's the true KJ has a fire in him that I think needs to be vocal to the public fan base, not just what we see during a game. And maybe that fixes things.
But that's the problem because the public fan base is screaming for him to come off the bench. Hey,
but I'm telling you, if he goes out and does that and things change, we'll be fine. I mean, David McCormick was the same way. Everybody criticized McCormick game in and game out, and the guy literally wins us a national championship.
Made the game-winning shot.
I can literally never say anything bad about David ever again.
You can't.
No.
I love him.
I remember
we
did the exact same thing. I did literally say the same thing about Jason Bean on the podcast last year. I criticized him heavily. And then he goes out and beats Oklahoma. I can't say anything bad ever again. That doesn't mean that he was a perfect player and he didn't still have his struggles.
Yeah.
But
I miss Jason Bean. Love that guy.
This season went. Yeah, a lot of us miss Jason Bean.
Can't wait for football season.
And by the way, Jalen Daniels having off-season surgery, that's always scary. I know it's a different.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
Yeah,
no,
he had a minor
knee. Yeah, should be nothing, but
he'll be all right.
We'll talk about that. Maybe we'll do a K football episode. Yeah, let's wrap up there. Again, very disappointing loss. I think we got as much takes as we can. So for the however many of you that are still left, thank you. Those of you that were in the chat today, thank you so much for jumping in. This is what makes it fun for us. Like, we could sit here for hours and talk the four of us, but having you guys throw things in the comments is great. I'm going to keep trying to do more of these throughout the season. If you haven't yet, go check out our Super Bowl preview. Less than 24 hours away from the Chiefs hoisting the Lombardi Trophy for a three-peat. Can't wait to watch that game tomorrow night. Again, there are some betting segments in there in the back half of that episode. So if you need some winning Super Bowl bets, go check it out. I don't have it in here loaded, but we also had a great interview. I sat down with KU head baseball coach Dan Fitzgerald. Their season kicks off next weekend. Go check that one out. He's a great baseball nut. Love talking with him. But yeah, that'll do it on this one. Always appreciate you guys. Derek, thanks for hopping in here with us. But for JB and Austin, I'm Keegan Russell. This has been the KC Sports Authority podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe on your way out if you haven't done so yet, and give us a follow over on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.